Hey all, here OS Reviews. Today we're taking a closer comparison look at the new Xiaomi Mi Band 5 versus the Honor Band 5 and the Mi Band 4 from last year, just to talk about some of the differences and similarities and maybe which one would be the best value here in 2020. To begin with, all three of these are budget-oriented fitness trackers, which are pretty good in terms of price point. They all sell for under 40 bucks, a fraction of what you would pay for competitors from Samsung and Fitbit, offering very similar features. The Mi Band 5 is the newest one that came out just this summer versus these other two which came out about a year ago. Although the naming structure of Huawei's Honor bands has always been one higher than Xiaomi's. So Huawei is due for a new Honor Band 6 in the coming days, very soon. That will be a bit more competitive with Xiaomi's Mi Band 5. Anyways, all three of these smart bracelets are using Bluetooth 5.0, and they all have the same waterproof rating of up to 5 ATMs, so you can use these when showering, when taking a swim, and they should still survive. All three use tempered Corning Gorilla Glass to protect the display, and all three are using AMOLED screens which are very vibrant and punchy looking, although the Mi Band 5 has the largest size, coming in at 1.1 inches diagonally versus 0.95 inches on the Honor Band 5 and the Mi Band 4. All three of these have adjustable straps in the sense that with the Mi Bands, you're able to pull the sensor out of the frame of the strap to change it to other colors, and then with Huawei's implementation, you can remove the straps by pulling on these two edges to physically pop out the top and bottom sides. In terms of the charging mechanism, I would say that the best goes to the new Mi Band 5, followed by Huawei's Honor Band 5, the reason being that you don't have to remove anything to charge it. The Mi Band 5 is super convenient. You can just use this wireless magnetic charger that can stick on like this to quickly top it up, and with the Honor Band, the charging cradle can be snapped into place mechanically without removing any straps to charge it up. And in last place, I would say would be the previous Mi Band 4 in order to snap it into this cradle for charging. So the consistent pulling in and out of the silicone strap was a little bit tedious. In terms of sensors, all three of these use optical heart rate sensors, although the Mi Band 5 claims to be 50% more accurate than the Mi Band 4. Additionally, the Mi Band 5 has an added barometer for measuring pressure directly on it, so you're able to see your kind of air pressure currently in your situation, which is a function missing on the other two, Honor Band and the previous gen Band 4. And all three lack a built-in GPS chip, so you aren't able to track your route directly on a map without turning over to a smartphone with GPS if you want to track it. As far as the aesthetics are concerned, of course, this part is a bit more subjective, but I would say maybe the Band 5 from Huawei, the Honor Band 5, still has the sleekest design, arguably, just because the screen is slightly curved on its edge, making swiping feel a bit more ergonomic and also just looking a bit more sleek compared to the flat screen designs. Now, taking a closer look at the user interface, they're all pretty similar. You can swipe down basically from the main screen to take a look at the various functions. Icons, though, are definitely different, even across the same company like Xiaomi. Across different generations, they have upgraded their bands with some different visualizations. Overall, the Xiaomi Mi Band 5 definitely displays the most information out of the trio in the sense that it gives you also statistics from other days of the week when you're taking a look at things like steps. So it presents more because it has a larger display, which is neat. One function which is also unique to the Mi Band is something called PAI, which is a metric. It will take into account your heart rate as well as how many steps you're taking, and then assign you a score out of 100, which is a little easier to understand and mostly a software trick here. The heart rate sensing works, I think, equally as well across all three, to be completely honest. I didn't have any complaints in terms of the accuracy, and all three offer continuous measurement. So definitely no complaints in terms of the accuracy of the heart rate monitoring, as well as the kind of number of steps using the accelerometer monitoring on these trackers. Mi Band 5 does have a few additional tricks using its software. Aside from the PAI score, it also has a stress measuring functionality, measure your heart rate variability in terms of how much you're fluctuating throughout the past minute to tell you how stressed you are, and other tips to try and calm you down, which is a pretty neat little feature and another clever software trick that takes advantage of the heart rate monitor. It's also worth noting that this has a breathing exercise tip, which will give you kind of a guided breathing or meditation function to inhale and exhale along with the size of this little bubble as it expands, which is a function that's pretty simple and also found on other watches we've seen in the past, but still nice to have here, and it's also missing on these other two. The weather info presented on the Band 5 is perhaps the most complete out of the trio, with the Honor Band 5, for instance, we can see weather as part of the integrated watch face. It'll show you your temperature during the day, but that's pretty much it. There's no dedicated page to take a look at more weather for the past week, for example. Band 5 here shows you more stats, like also the humidity level, the pressure using the barometer, the UV level. As far as the sports and activities are concerned, we can again see that the display being larger on the Band 5 can show us more information at a glance. We have 11 sports and activities that we can track here on the Band 5, but honestly the types of activities are all very similar between the three. And it is true that the Band 4 has fewer activities that we can see, such as, jump rope, for instance, is not found on here. It's a more condensed list, but to be honest, the difference still isn't huge. Then on the Honor Band 5, it's pretty similar in the sense that we also have a fair selection, but not as much as the Mi Band 5. Additional software tricks that the Mi Band 5 offers, which is foreign on the other two, include a world clock where you can see time and day information for other cities around the world, which is, again, a function that we don't have on these other two, as well as the ability for you to customize the widgets which are displayed on the main face. So not only can you change the watch face style, you can still tweak what is displayed on the top and bottom sections. So these two portions can be changed from steps to calories to other things like weather, depending on your likings. So offers more flexibility. In terms of battery life and endurance, all three are also just very similar. They can all last comfortably for about 2 to 3 weeks before you need to recharge it again. Although technically, I do think that the battery life of the Mi Band 4 is the longest out of the three. It can sometimes stretch upwards of 3 weeks or a month if you use it sporadically with syncing. There's two more areas to talk about, one of them being sleep tracking. For that, I will say it's a tie in terms of the best being the Honor Band 5 and the Mi Band 5. The reason being that both of these two Band 5s are able to track 24 hours sleep. That includes taking a nap during the day. It will still count that as sleep and track your light versus deep sleeping patterns, which is great to note. Same thing, again, on the new Band 5, but on the Mi Band 4, it was actually missing. It can only track your sleep during preset times during the night. The Honor Band 5 still has the advantage of being able to see at a glance how many hours you've slept very quickly through one of its home widgets that you can just cycle through, versus on the Mi Bands, even on the Band 5, if you want to see that sleep data that it's collected during the day, you still have to sync it with your phone and then see that information on your phone's display. Honor Band still has the advantage of having an SpO2 monitor, or a blood oxygen monitor. That's an additional sensor which is still missing in the Mi Band series, which to some can be a little bit disappointing. This can measure, as the name implies, basically the concentration of oxygen inside of your blood to know if you're breathing properly in terms of respiratory issues if your SpO2 number drops below a certain threshold. So it's actually pretty useful to have this sensor on board, and it's something that I do wish that Xiaomi would have implemented on their new Band 5. And that's basically all of the main differences recapped. For all three of these versions, you can find a slightly more expensive variant that has NFC, but for all three of them, they're primarily only useful if you're in China, unfortunately. It's not something that can be used with Google Wallet, for instance. And the Mi Band 5, there's also a China version which has a built-in microphone that you can use with a voice assistant, but it only works with Chinese. So for audience members that are looking at this globally, especially in English-speaking countries, it's not going to be really a differentiator. For all practical reasons, these are just going to be basic sports tracking, step tracking, sleep tracking, and light notifications. Ultimately, between these three trackers, I would say my favorites remain the Honor Band 5 and the new Mi Band 5. The reason is, again, across all of those different genres and categories that we just discussed, I feel like these two are the most complete in terms of features, the most convenient for charging, and in particular, I would say if you're someone that wants something with a slightly larger display with more customization for the aesthetics, as well as you want something that's more valuable in terms of things like stress measurement, then I think the new Mi Band 5 is definitely going to be your best choice, especially if you are someone that doesn't currently have a fitness tracker, you're trying to pick up your first one. With that being said, if you are an existing owner of a previous generation band, then again, depending on the version that you have, upgrading to the Band 5, if you already have, say, the Mi Band 4 or the Mi Band 3, it may not be the biggest jump. And for those folks, whether or not you need to upgrade is going to be up for interpretation. So it does mean that the Mi Band 4, I feel, out of the three here in 2020 is the weakest now in terms of functionality and design, but an argument can still be made that it's a very solid tracker. If it's on sale, for instance, and you can get it for maybe $10 less than the other two, that could be one reason to still pick it up, and it definitely you don't lose out on that much. It still is an excellent value. But if all three, you're buying them at new retail cost, then for sure, I think the Honor Band 5 and the Mi Band 5 should be the top of your lists, maybe separated by whether you prefer the larger screen or the SPO2, and also by if you have a Xiaomi device or a Huawei device, if you're already part of their ecosystem, then it makes sense to try out one of their in-house products. But if you aren't using one of their phones, then that's not going to be applicable, and all of these are great choices that are compatible universally across any Android smartphone or iOS phone. So you can't really go wrong with any of these three at the end of the day. Again, all three are great values, but overall, definitely we've seen some improvements throughout the generations, and the Mi Band 5 is definitely a great step forward in terms of software and optimization. You can check out more details if you're interested in the links down below. For now, that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. That was a closer comparison between the new Mi Band 5 and the previous generation Honor Band 5 and Mi Band 4.